We gather today to explore the dynamic relationship between energy and power, two forces that have shaped our world and continue to drive the progress of humanity. From the dawn of civilization, energy has been the lifeblood of societies, fueling our aspirations, innovations, and daily lives. Power, in its many forms, has harnessed this energy, transforming it into tangible actions and outcomes that define the course of history. As we stand on the precipice of a new era, one marked by unprecedented technological advancements and pressing environmental challenges, the significance of understanding and managing these forces has never been greater. Energy and power are not merely abstract concepts, they are the engines of growth, the catalysts of change, and the key to a sustainable future. In this discourse, we will delve into the complexities of energy and power, examining their roles in our past, their impact on our present, and the possibilities they hold for our future. Together, we will explore how harnessing these forces with wisdom and responsibility can lead us to a world where progress is in harmony with the well-being of our planet. The story of human civilization is, in many ways, the story of how we have harnessed energy. From the earliest days of human existence, energy in its simplest forms, fire, muscle, and wind, has been fundamental to survival and progress. The historical evolution of energy sources is a testament to human ingenuity and the relentless pursuit of better, more efficient ways to power our lives. In ancient times, the primary sources of energy were human and animal muscle, supplemented by firewood for heat and cooking. The domestication of animals marked a significant shift, allowing for greater productivity in agriculture and transportation. Wind and water power were also early sources of energy, with windmills and water wheels being used as far back as 2,000 years ago to grind grain and pump water. The Industrial Revolution in the 18th and 19th centuries marked a dramatic turning point in the history of energy. The discovery and exploitation of fossil fuels, first coal, then oil, and later natural gas, transformed societies. Coal powered the steam engines that drove the factories, trains, and ships of the Industrial Revolution, fundamentally altering the economy and society. The widespread use of fossil fuels allowed for unprecedented economic growth and industrialization, leading to rapid urbanization and the development of modern cities. As the 20th century progressed, oil became the dominant energy source, particularly with the advent of the internal combustion engine. Oil not only powered vehicles, but also became the backbone of the global economy, influencing geopolitics in profound ways. The discovery of vast oil reserves in the Middle East, for example, shifted global power dynamics and led to conflicts over control of these valuable resources. The late 20th century also saw the rise of nuclear power, which promised a virtually limitless supply of energy. Nuclear power plants were built across the world, providing a significant share of electricity in many countries. However, concerns about safety, particularly after accidents like those at 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl, as well as the problem of nuclear waste disposal, have limited its growth. In recent decades, there has been a growing awareness of the environmental impact of fossil fuels, particularly in terms of climate change. This has led to a renewed interest in renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, and hydropower. Advances in technology have made these sources more viable and cost-effective, leading to a rapid increase in their use. The transition to renewable energy is seen as essential to addressing the twin challenges of energy security and climate change. The evolution of energy sources has been a complex process, driven by technological innovation, economic factors, and social needs. Each new source of energy has brought with it new opportunities and challenges. As we look to the future, the challenge will be to develop energy sources that are not only efficient and reliable, but also sustainable and equitable. The historical evolution of energy teaches us that while energy is essential to progress, it must be harnessed with wisdom and foresight to ensure that the benefits are shared by all, and that the costs are not borne by future generations. Power, in its many forms, political, economic, technological, and social, has always been a central force in shaping societies. The ability to harness and control energy resources has historically been closely linked to power, influencing the rise and fall of civilizations, the dynamics of empires, and the development of modern states. The role of power in shaping societies is a multifaceted and complex phenomenon that intertwines with every aspect of human life. From the earliest days of human history, those who controlled energy resources held significant power. In ancient societies, control over fire, for instance, meant the ability to cook food, provide warmth, and protect against predators. As human societies became more complex, the control of more sophisticated energy resources, such as water for irrigation, wind for sailing, or animal power for agriculture, became critical to economic and military dominance. During the Industrial Revolution, the ability to harness energy from coal and steam fundamentally altered the balance of power among nations. Countries that industrialized rapidly gained a significant advantage over those that did not. Industrial powerhouses like Britain and later the United States used their technological and industrial superiority to expand their empires and exert influence globally. The control of energy resources, particularly coal and later oil, became a central aspect of national power and international relations. In the 20th century, the geopolitical landscape was shaped largely by the struggle for control over oil, the lifeblood of modern economies. The discovery of vast oil reserves in the Middle East and elsewhere led to a new era of energy-driven geopolitics. Control over resources became a strategic priority for many nations, leading to alliances, conflicts, and wars. The ability to control and influence global oil markets became synonymous with global power, as seen in the rise of OPEC and the oil embargoes of the 1970s. The role of power in shaping societies is not limited to geopolitical and economic factors. It also encompasses the social and technological dimensions of power. Now, the control of energy resources has allowed societies to build infrastructure, power industries, and develop technologies that improve the quality of life. However, it has also led to inequalities, with access to energy often concentrated in the hands of a few, leading to disparities in wealth and development. In the modern era, the concept of power is increasingly tied to the ability to innovate and adapt to new energy paradigms. The transition to renewable energy, for example, is reshaping the global power dynamics. Countries that lead in renewable energy technologies are positioning themselves as the new power centers in the global energy landscape. The shift from fossil fuels to renewable energy is not just about environmental sustainability, it is also about economic and political power. The role of power in shaping societies is a reminder that energy is not just a resource to be consumed, it is a force that can transform societies. The way we harness, distribute, and control energy has profound implications for social justice, economic development, and global stability. As we navigate the challenges of the 21st century, understanding the role of power in shaping societies will be crucial in building a more equitable and sustainable world. Renewable energy is increasingly recognized as the cornerstone of a sustainable future. As the world grapples with the dual challenges of climate change and energy security, the shift to renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, hydro, and geothermal is not just an environmental imperative, it is also an economic and social necessity. The transition to renewable energy represents a fundamental shift in how we generate, distribute, and consume power, with far-reaching implications for the future of our planet. The appeal of renewable energy lies in its ability to generate power without depleting finite resources or emitting greenhouse gases. Unlike fossil fuels, which are both finite and polluting, renewable energy sources are abundant and clean. The sun, wind, water, and the earth's heat are inexhaustible, making them ideal sources of power in a world that is increasingly conscious of the need for sustainability. The growth of renewable energy has been driven by significant technological advancements and declining costs. Solar and wind energy, in particular, have seen dramatic cost reductions over the past decade, making them competitive with, and in many cases cheaper than, fossil fuels. This cost parity has been a key factor in the rapid expansion of renewable energy capacity worldwide. Countries around the globe are investing heavily in renewable energy infrastructure, recognizing its potential to meet growing energy demands while reducing carbon emissions. In addition to environmental benefits, renewable energy offers significant economic opportunities. The renewable energy sector is a major source of job creation, with millions of people employed in solar, wind, and other renewable industries. Yet, as the world transitions away from fossil fuels, renewable energy is expected to play a central role in the global economy, driving innovation, investment, and economic growth. In addition to improving energy access, the transition to renewable energy also has the potential to create economic opportunities in regions that have historically been energy poor. The renewable energy sector is labor-intensive, particularly in the installation and maintenance of solar panels and wind turbines. This can create jobs and stimulate economic development in regions where traditional energy industries have been absent or are in decline. Moreover, the localized nature of renewable energy production can help keep energy revenues within communities rather than flowing out to external suppliers, further supporting local economies. However, the shift to renewable energy alone will not automatically resolve the issue of energy inequity. Ensuring that the benefits of renewable energy are distributed equitably requires deliberate policies and investments. For instance, there needs to be a focus on making renewable energy technologies affordable and accessible to low-income populations. This may involve providing subsidies, financing options, or innovative business models such as pay-as-you-go systems, which allow consumers to pay for energy in small, manageable increments. Furthermore, achieving global energy equity requires international cooperation and support. Developed countries, which have historically contributed the most to greenhouse gas emissions and have the most advanced and enhanced energy infrastructure, have a responsibility to assist developing countries in their transition to sustainable energy systems. This can take the form of financial aid, technology transfer, capacity building, and the creation of favorable trade conditions for renewable energy technologies. Ensuring that developing countries are not left behind in the global energy transition is critical for achieving broader goals of sustainable development and climate justice. Addressing global energy distribution and equity also involves confronting the social and political challenges that accompany energy transitions. For instance, the shift away from fossil fuels can have negative economic impacts on regions that are heavily dependent on fossil fuel extraction and production. Ensuring a just transition. For these communities, through retraining programs, economic diversification, and support for new industries will be crucial in preventing social dislocation and ensuring that the benefits of the energy transition are widely shared. In conclusion, global energy distribution and equity are central issues in the quest for a sustainable and just energy future. While the transition to renewable energy holds great promise for addressing some of the disparities in energy access, achieving true energy equity will require concerted efforts at the local, national, and international levels. It will involve not only technological innovation, but also policy reform, financial investment, and a commitment to social justice. By prioritizing energy equity, we can ensure that the benefits of the global energy transition are shared by all, and that no one is left behind in the pursuit of a sustainable and prosperous future. The economics of energy and power is a complex and multifaceted field that plays a critical role in shaping global markets, national economies, and individual livelihoods. Energy is not just a commodity, it is a vital input to nearly every aspect of economic activity, from manufacturing and transportation to heating and cooling homes. The way energy is produced, distributed, and consumed has profound implications for economic growth, environmental sustainability, and social equity. One of the fundamental aspects of energy economics is the supply and demand dynamics of energy markets. Energy prices are influenced by a range of factors, including the availability of resources, geopolitical events, technological advancements, and government policies. For instance, the price of oil, a key global commodity, is highly sensitive to changes in supply from major producers, such as OPEC, as well as to fluctuations in global demand driven by economic growth or contraction. The volatility of energy prices can have significant economic impacts, affecting everything from the cost of goods and services to inflation rates and national trade balances. The economics of energy is also closely tied to the costs of different energy sources. Traditionally, fossil fuels like coal, oil, and natural gas have dominated global energy markets because of their relatively low production costs and high energy density. However, the environmental and social costs associated with fossil fuels, including greenhouse gas emissions, air and water pollution, and health impacts, are increasingly being recognized and internalized in energy pricing. Carbon pricing mechanisms, such as carbon taxes or cap and trade systems, are examples of policies designed to reflect the true cost of carbon emissions in the price of fossil fuels, making renewable energy sources more competitive. The declining costs of renewable energy technologies, particularly solar and wind power, have been a major factor in the shift towards cleaner energy sources. Over the past decade, the cost of solar photovoltaic PV panels has dropped by more than 80%, while the cost of wind turbines has also seen significant reductions. These cost declines have been driven by economies of scale, technological improvements, and increased competition in the renewable energy sector. As a result, in many parts of the world, renewable energy is now the most cost-effective source of new electricity generation, outcompete even the cheapest fossil fuels. The economic benefits of renewable energy extend beyond cost savings. The renewable energy sector is a major source of job creation, particularly in installation, maintenance, and manufacturing. According to the International Renewable Energy Agency, IENA, the renewable energy sector employed over 12 million people globally in 2020, and this number is expected to grow as the transition to renewable energy accelerates. The distributed nature of renewable energy production also creates opportunities for local economic development, particularly in rural areas where large-scale renewable energy projects, such as wind farms or solar installations, can provide new sources of income and employment. However, the transition to renewable energy also poses economic challenges. The shift away from fossil fuels can lead to job losses in traditional energy industries, such as coal mining or oil drilling, and can have significant economic impacts on regions that are heavily dependent on these industries. Managing this transition in a way that is socially and economically just requires careful planning and investment in retraining and economic diversification programs to support affected workers and communities. The economics of energy is also influenced by the need for investment in energy infrastructure. Transitioning to a low-carbon energy system requires significant investment in renewable energy generation, grid modernization, energy storage, and energy efficiency measures. According to the International Energy Agency, IEA, achieving net zero emissions by 2050 will require annual investment in clean energy to increase to around $4 trillion by 2030. This represents a significant financial challenge, but also an opportunity to drive innovation, create new markets, and stimulate economic growth. Government policies and regulations play a crucial role in shaping the economics of energy and power. Subsidies for fossil fuels, for example, can distort energy markets by making fossil fuels artificially cheap, thereby slowing the transition to cleaner energy sources. Conversely, policies that support renewable energy, such as feed-in tariffs, tax incentives, or renewable portfolio standards, can accelerate the deployment of clean energy technologies and create new economic opportunities. The economics of energy and power is a critical area of study and policy making that has far-reaching implications for the global economy, the environment, and society as a whole. As the world transitions to a more sustainable energy system, understanding the economic drivers and challenges of this transition will be essential to ensuring that the benefits are widely shared and that the costs are managed in a way that promotes economic resilience and social equity. The choices we make today in the economics of energy will shape the future of our economies, our planet, and our collective well-being. Energy and power have always been deeply intertwined with politics, shaping the rise and fall of nations, influencing international relations, and driving domestic policy agendas. The control and distribution of energy resources are not merely economic or technical issues, they are also deeply political, affecting the balance of power within and between nations, the stability of governments, and the livelihoods of millions of people. The geopolitics of energy has been a defining feature of global politics for over a century. Control over energy resources, particularly oil and natural gas, has been a key factor in shaping alliances, conflicts, and international relations. The Middle East, with its vast oil reserves, has been a focal point of global energy politics, with major powers vying for influence in the region to secure access to these critical resources. The geopolitical significance of energy was starkly illustrated during the oil crisis of the 1970s, when oil embargoes by OPEC countries led to global economic shocks and heightened tensions between energy-producing and energy-consuming nations. The politics of energy also plays a crucial role in domestic governance. Energy policy is often the key issue in national politics, influencing everything from economic growth and job creation to environmental protection and social equity. Governments around the world must balance the competing demands of different stakeholders, including industry, consumers, environmental groups, and local communities, when formulating energy policy. Decisions about how to produce, distribute, and consume energy can have far-reaching implications for a country's economy, environment, and society. One of the most significant political challenges in the energy sector is the transition to renewable energy. The shift from fossil fuels to renewable energy sources is not just a technical and economic transformation, it is also a political one. It involves reallocating resources, restructuring industries, and changing the way energy is governed and regulated. This transition can be politically contentious, as it often disrupts established power structures and vested interests. For example, in countries that are heavily dependent on fossil fuel industries, such as coal mining or oil production, the move towards renewable energy can lead to economic dislocation and political resistance. Managing this transition in a way that is fair and just requires careful political negotiation and policy design. The politics of energy is also closely linked to issues of national security. Energy security, defined as the reliable and affordable supply of energy, is a key concern for governments around the world. Countries that are highly dependent on energy imports, particularly from politically unstable regions, are vulnerable to supply disruptions and price volatility. This has led many countries to pursue policies aimed at increasing energy independence, such as diversifying energy sources, investing in renewable energy, and developing domestic energy resources. Energy security concerns also drive international relations, with countries seeking to secure long-term energy supplies through bilateral agreements, strategic partnerships, and even military interventions. Climate change has added a new dimension to the politics of energy. The need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and transition to a low-carbon economy has become a central issue in global and national politics. International agreements, such as the Paris Agreement, have set ambitious targets for reducing emissions, but achieving these goals requires significant changes in energy production and consumption. This has led to political debates and conflicts over how best to achieve these targets, who should bear the costs of the transition, and how to ensure that the benefits are shared equitably. In many countries, the politics of energy is also shaped by public opinion and social movements. The growing awareness of climate change and environmental degradation has led to increased public demand for cleaner and more sustainable energy sources. This has been reflected in the rise of environmental movements, climate activism, and public protests against fossil fuel projects, such as pipelines and coal mines. Politicians and policymakers must navigate these social pressures when making energy decisions, balancing the need for economic growth and energy security with the demands for environmental protection and social justice. In conclusion, the interplay between energy, power, and politics is a complex and dynamic process that shapes the course of history and the future of our societies. Energy is not just a commodity to be traded or a resource to be managed. It is a source of power that influences political decisions, shapes international relations, and impacts the lives of billions of people. Understanding the political dimensions of energy is essential to navigating the challenges of the 21st century, from achieving energy security and sustainability to addressing climate change and promoting social equity. The choices we make in the energy sector today will determine the political and social landscape of tomorrow. Energy security is a critical aspect of national and international security, encompassing the availability, affordability, and reliability of energy supplies. As the lifeblood of modern economies, energy underpins virtually every aspect of daily life, from powering industries and transportation to heating homes and running communication networks. Ensuring a stable and secure supply of energy is essential for economic stability, national security, and the well-being of populations. One of the most significant advantages of renewable energy is its potential to enhance energy security. Unlike fossil fuels, which are subject to geopolitical tensions, price volatility, and supply disruptions, renewable energy sources are locally available and inexhaustible. By diversifying energy sources and reducing dependence on imported fuels, countries can enhance their energy independence and resilience. The transition to renewable energy also has important implications for social equity. Access to clean, affordable energy is essential for economic development and poverty alleviation. Renewable energy can bring electricity to remote and underserved communities, improving access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunities. Distributed renewable energy systems, such as solar panels and microgrids, can empower communities to take control of their energy needs, reducing reliance on centralized, often fossil fuel-based power systems. Despite the many benefits of renewable energy, the transition is not without challenges. Integrating renewable energy into existing power grids requires significant investment in infrastructure, including energy storage and grid modernization. The intermittent nature of some renewable sources, such as solar and wind, also presents challenges for maintaining a reliable energy supply. However, advances in energy storage technologies, such as batteries, and the development of smart grids are helping to address these challenges. As the world moves toward a low-carbon future, renewable energy will play an increasingly central role in the global energy landscape. The transition to renewable energy is not just about reducing carbon emissions, it is about building a more sustainable, equitable, and resilient energy system for the future. By harnessing the power of renewable energy, we have the opportunity to create a world where energy is not just a commodity to be consumed, but a force for positive change and sustainable development. Energy consumption has a profound impact on the environment, with far-reaching consequences for ecosystems, human health, and the planet's climate. The burning of fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas has been the dominant source of energy for over a century, powering industrialization, transportation, and modern conveniences. However, this reliance on fossil fuels has come at a significant environmental cost, contributing to air and water pollution, habitat destruction, and most critically, climate change. One of the most visible environmental impacts of energy consumption is air pollution. The combustion of fossil fuels releases a range of harmful pollutants into the atmosphere, including carbon dioxide CO2, sulfur dioxide SO2, nitrogen oxides NOx, and particulate matter. These pollutants contribute to a range of environmental and health problems. For example, sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides are precursors to acid rain, which can damage forests, lakes, and buildings. Particulate matter, which consists of tiny particles that can be inhaled, is linked to respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. The most significant environmental impact of energy consumption, however, is its contribution to climate change. The burning of fossil fuels is the primary source of CO2 emissions, the leading greenhouse gas responsible for global warming. Since the Industrial Revolution, the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere has increased dramatically, leading to a rise in global temperatures. This warming has triggered a cascade of environmental effects, including melting polar ice caps, rising sea levels, more frequent and severe weather events, and shifts in ecosystems and species distributions. The environmental impact of energy consumption is not limited to the atmosphere. The extraction, processing, and transportation of fossil fuels also have significant environmental consequences. Oil spills, such as the Deepwater Horizon disaster in 2010, can cause catastrophic damage to marine and coastal ecosystems. Coal mining, particularly mountaintop removal mining, leads to the destruction of habitats and the contamination of water sources with toxic chemicals. Natural gas extraction, particularly through hydraulic fracturing or fracking, can result in water contamination and the release of methane, a potent greenhouse gas. In addition to the direct environmental impacts, energy consumption also contributes to resource depletion. The extraction of fossil fuels requires significant amounts of water and land, often leading to conflicts over resource use and environmental degradation. As fossil fuel reserves become more difficult and expensive to access, the environmental costs of extraction are likely to increase. The environmental impact of energy consumption is a global challenge, but its effects are not evenly distributed. Low-income communities and developing countries often bear the brunt of the environmental and health impacts of fossil fuel consumption, despite contributing the least to global emissions. This inequity underscores the need for a just transition to sustainable energy systems that address both environmental and social concerns. The shift to renewable energy offers a pathway to reducing the environmental impact of energy consumption. Renewable energy sources, such as solar, wind, and hydropower, produce little to no greenhouse gas emissions during operation and have a much smaller environmental footprint compared to fossil fuels. However, the production and disposal of renewable energy technologies, such as solar panels and wind turbines, also have environmental impacts that must be managed. Addressing the environmental impact of energy consumption requires a multifaceted approach. This includes increasing energy efficiency, transitioning to renewable energy, and adopting sustainable practices in energy production and consumption. It also requires policies and regulations that internalize the environmental costs of energy use, such as carbon pricing and emission standards, to incentivize cleaner energy choices. The environmental impact of energy consumption is one of the most pressing challenges of our time. As the world seeks to balance the need for energy with the imperative to protect the environment, the choices we make today will determine the health and sustainability of our planet for future generations. Technological innovations in energy efficiency have become a critical component in the global effort to address climate change, reduce energy consumption, and improve economic competitiveness. As the demand for energy continues to rise, finding ways to use energy more efficiently has become essential to meeting the world's energy needs while minimizing environmental impact. Energy efficiency is not just about reducing energy use, it is about making smarter use of the energy we consume, enabling us to do more with less. One of the most significant areas of technological innovation in energy efficiency is in the building sector. Buildings account for a substantial portion of global energy consumption, primarily for heating, cooling, lighting, and appliances. Advances in building materials, design, and technology have led to the development of energy-efficient buildings that consume significantly less energy than traditional structures. For example, the use of high-performance insulation, energy-efficient windows, and smart building systems can reduce heating and cooling energy requirements by up to 50%. Additionally, the integration of renewable energy sources, such as solar panels, into building designs can further reduce reliance on grid energy. Another key area of innovation is in the transportation sector. Transportation is a major consumer of energy, particularly in the form of fossil fuels. Technological advancements in vehicle design, engine efficiency, and alternative fuels have led to significant improvements in fuel efficiency and reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. Electric vehicles, EVs, are a prime example of how innovation is transforming the transportation sector. EVs are not only more energy efficient than traditional internal combustion engine vehicles, but they also produce zero tailpipe emissions, contributing to cleaner air and reduced carbon footprints. The development of more efficient batteries and charging infrastructure is further enhancing the viability and adoption of EVs. In the industrial sector, energy efficiency innovations are helping to reduce energy consumption in manufacturing processes, which are traditionally energy intensive. The adoption of advanced manufacturing technologies, such as automation, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things (IoT), is enabling more precise control of energy use in industrial processes. For example, smart sensors and control systems can optimize energy use in real time, reducing waste and improving overall efficiency. Additionally, innovations in materials science, such as the development of lightweight and high-strength materials, are contributing to more energy-efficient manufacturing and product design. Energy efficiency is also being enhanced through innovations in energy storage and grid management. The ability to store energy efficiently is crucial for integrating renewable energy sources, such as solar and wind, which are intermittent in nature. Advances in battery technology, particularly in lithium-ion and solid-state batteries, are improving energy storage capacity and efficiency, making it easier to balance supply and demand on the grid. Smart grid technologies, which use digital communication and automation to optimize energy distribution, are also playing a key role in improving energy efficiency. These technologies allow for better demand response, reducing peak energy use, and preventing energy waste. The role of policy and regulation in driving technological innovation in energy efficiency cannot be overstated. Governments around the world are implementing energy efficiency standards and incentives to encourage the adoption of energy-efficient technologies. For example, energy efficiency labeling programs, such as Energy Star, provide consumers with information on the energy performance of products, enabling them to make more informed choices. Similarly, building codes and vehicle fuel efficiency standards set minimum requirements for energy performance, pushing manufacturers to innovate and improve their products. While technological innovations in energy efficiency have made significant strides, there is still much work to be done. Continued research and development are needed to push the boundaries of what is possible, particularly in areas such as energy storage, smart grids, and next-generation building materials. Additionally, the widespread adoption of energy-efficient technologies will require concerted efforts to overcome barriers such as cost, lack of awareness, and resistance to change. Technological innovations in energy efficiency are a powerful tool in the quest for a more sustainable and resilient energy future. By making smarter use of energy, we can reduce our environmental impact, lower energy costs, and enhance energy security. The challenge and opportunity now lie in accelerating the pace of innovation and ensuring that the benefits of energy efficiency are realized on a global scale. The distribution of energy resources across the globe is a complex and often inequitable phenomenon, with profound implications for economic development, social equity, and global stability. Access to reliable and affordable energy is a fundamental driver of development, enabling economic growth, improving quality of life, and supporting essential services such as healthcare and education. However, the disparities in global energy distribution highlight significant challenges in achieving energy equity, where all individuals and communities have fair access to the energy they need. Historically, energy resources have been unevenly distributed, both geographically and socioeconomically. Fossil fuels, which have been the dominant source of energy for over a century, are concentrated in specific regions of the world. For example, the Middle East holds the largest proven reserves of oil, while Russia and the United States have significant natural gas reserves. This geographical concentration of energy resources has led to disparities in energy access and has been a source of geopolitical tension and conflict. In many parts of the world, particularly in developing countries, access to modern energy services remains limited. According to the International Energy Agency, EIA, as of 2020, approximately 777 million people worldwide still lacked access to electricity, and over 2.6 billion people relied on traditional biomass, such as wood or charcoal, for cooking. These energy deficits are most acute in sub-Saharan Africa and parts of Asia, where lack of access to electricity and clean cooking solutions hinders economic development and perpetuates poverty. The inequitable distribution of energy resources is not only a matter of geography but also of economic disparity. Even within countries, there are significant differences in energy access and consumption between urban and rural areas and between wealthy and low-income populations. In many cases, the poorest and most marginalized communities are the least likely to have access to reliable energy services, exacerbating social inequalities and limiting opportunities for economic advancement. The transition to renewable energy offers a potential pathway to addressing some of these disparities in global energy distribution. Unlike fossil fuels, renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, and hydro are more widely distributed and can be harnessed locally. One of the most promising aspects of renewable energy in terms of equity is its potential to provide energy access to off-grid and rural communities. Distributed renewable energy systems, such as solar home systems, mini-grids, and small-scale wind turbines, can be deployed in areas where extending the central electricity grid is not feasible or cost-effective. These systems enable communities to generate their own power, often at a lower cost than traditional fossil fuel-based energy, and with minimal environmental impact. This approach not only enhances energy access, but also empowers communities by giving them greater control over their energy resources. The concept of energy security is traditionally focused on the availability of fossil fuels, particularly oil and natural gas. Countries that are heavily dependent on energy imports are vulnerable to supply disruptions, whether due to geopolitical conflicts, natural disasters, or market volatility. For example, during the oil crisis of the 1970s, the sudden reduction in oil supplies led to severe economic shocks, highlighting the risks of over-reliance on imported energy. In response, many countries have sought to diversify their energy sources, develop strategic reserves, and invest in domestic energy production to reduce their dependence on foreign energy supplies. Energy security is also closely linked to the reliability of energy infrastructure. The energy supply chain, from production and processing to transmission and distribution, is complex and interconnected. Disruptions at any point in this chain can have cascading effects, leading to energy shortages, price spikes, and economic disruption. For example, natural disasters such as hurricanes or earthquakes can damage critical energy infrastructure, such as oil refineries, pipelines, or power plants, leading to prolonged outages and significant economic losses. Ensuring the resilience of energy infrastructure is therefore a key component of energy security. In recent years, the concept of energy security has expanded to include the transition to renewable energy and the risks associated with climate change. As the world moves towards a low-carbon energy system, ensuring a stable and secure supply of energy during this transition is a major challenge. Renewable energy sources such as solar and wind are inherently variable depending on weather conditions and geographic location. This variability can pose challenges for grid stability and energy reliability, particularly in regions that rely heavily on intermittent renewable energy sources. Advances in energy storage, grid management, and demand response are critical to addressing these challenges and ensuring that renewable energy can provide a secure and reliable energy supply. Climate change also poses significant risks to energy security. Rising temperatures, changing precipitation patterns, and more frequent and severe weather events can disrupt energy production, transmission, and distribution. For example, heat waves can reduce the efficiency of power plants and increase energy demand for cooling, while droughts can reduce the availability of water for hydropower and cooling in thermal power plants. Sea level rise and extreme weather events can damage coastal energy infrastructure, such as oil refineries, natural gas terminals, and offshore wind farms. Addressing the impacts of climate change on energy security requires not only reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but also adapting energy infrastructure to withstand the changing climate. Energy security is also a key consideration in international relations. Access to energy resources is a major driver of geopolitical tensions and conflicts, particularly in regions that are rich in energy resources but politically unstable. For example, control over oil and natural gas resources has been a central issue in many conflicts in the Middle East, while disputes over access to energy resources in the South China Sea have heightened tensions in Asia. Ensuring energy security often involves complex negotiations and alliances as countries seek to secure long-term energy supplies while managing geopolitical risks. In addition to these traditional concerns, the transition to renewable energy is creating new dimensions of energy security. The shift away from fossil fuels is leading to changes in global energy trade patterns, with some countries that have historically been major energy exporters, such as those in the Middle East, facing economic challenges as demand for their fossil fuel resources declines. At the same time, the growing demand for critical minerals, such as lithium, cobalt, and rare earth elements, which are essential for renewable energy technologies and batteries, is creating new dependencies and potential vulnerabilities. Ensuring the secure and sustainable supply of these critical minerals is becoming an increasingly important aspect of energy security. In conclusion, energy security is a multifaceted and evolving concept that is essential for the stability and prosperity of nations and the global community. Ensuring a secure, reliable, and sustainable supply of energy is a complex challenge that requires coordinated efforts across multiple sectors and scales, from local energy infrastructure to global energy markets. As the world transitions to a more sustainable energy system, addressing the risks and opportunities associated with energy security will be critical to achieving a stable, resilient, and equitable energy future. The intricate relationship between energy and power has been a driving force behind human civilization, shaping societies, economies, and geopolitics throughout history. As we navigate the challenges and opportunities of the 21st century, this relationship remains as critical as ever, demanding our careful consideration and action. The evolution of energy sources from muscle and fire to fossil fuels and renewables has been a testament to human ingenuity and adaptation. However, this progress has come with significant environmental and social costs, particularly in the form of climate change and global inequities in energy access. As we transition to renewable energy, we face the dual challenge of reducing our carbon footprint, while ensuring that the benefits of this transition are distributed equitably across all populations and regions. Technological innovations in energy efficiency and renewable energy are paving the way for a more sustainable future, offering economic opportunities and enhancing energy security. Yet, the complexities of energy economics, the interplay of energy and politics, and the imperative of energy security underscore the need for thoughtful policies and international cooperation. The shift to a low-carbon, equitable energy system is not just a technical or economic endeavor, it is also a deeply political and social process that will require careful management of competing interests and a commitment to justice and inclusivity. As we look to the future, the choices we make about how we produce, distribute, and consume energy will shape not only our economies and environments, but also the fabric of our societies. By harnessing the power of renewable energy and embracing energy efficiency, we have the opportunity to build a more resilient, equitable, and sustainable world. It is imperative that we act with wisdom, foresight, and a sense of shared responsibility, ensuring that the energy we rely on today and tomorrow serves the needs of all people while preserving the planet for future generations.